Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and you're listening to the Meditations and More podcast here on the littleshaman.com, brought to you by Transrelational Healing, shamanspiritcenter.com, and littleshaman.org. That's me, the Little Shaman. Today I wanted to talk to you about something many people are familiar with when dealing with pathologically narcissistic personalities, and that is the silent treatment. The silent treatment is what it's called when a person ignores another person completely. The silent treatment goes beyond refusing to answer questions or relate information. It is not the same as someone legitimately having nothing to say at this moment in time or being overwhelmed and unable to talk right now. The silent treatment is a punitive, meaning punishing, action where someone is ignoring another person completely as if they do not exist. It is used to punish other people and as an attempt to control the situation and or the relationship. Humans need interaction with other humans. Our social needs as individuals might vary, but in general, humans need interaction with other human beings. We need to feel seen and heard, to know that we matter, that we're important, at the very least, that we exist. The silent treatment takes these needs and weaponizes them, withholding fulfillment of them as a way to hurt and punish other people. This is the basis of the silent treatment. I am going to refuse to acknowledge your existence pointedly and in front of you repeatedly because I'm upset with you because you did something wrong to me. The silent treatment is very cruel, but as you may have already realized, it's also very childish. Children use the silent treatment, ostracizing, shunning, and other similar tactics to hurt and punish because they're not yet mature enough to handle their emotions or emotional situations any other way. They're not mature enough, for example, to talk it out or to say to the other person, hey, I don't like that you did that, or that hurt my feelings. They retaliate instead in a passive-aggressive manner, such as with the silent treatment. Because they're not mature enough to have fully developed empathy, they're trying to hurt or affect the other person because of how this is going to make them feel. The impact of this behavior on the other person, how it will actually impact them beyond perhaps a cognitive awareness of this will upset them or they're going to be bothered or they won't like that, is not something that they're focused on at all and are generally not even aware of in any real sense. That's how children are able to be so vicious and cruel to each other. This is exactly what we often see with adult narcissists. Their focus in all situations is how things will impact them, how things will make them feel. Giving the silent treatment, for example, makes them feel powerful. We discussed in the episode of the show called Stop Trying to Outsmart Narcissists how this dynamic is similar to a child holding a toy over a smaller child's head just out of their reach and teasing them by refusing to give it to them. Children will do that until the smaller child starts crying, and then they will laugh at that child for crying. Why? Because empathy is a function of emotional maturity. They are not emotionally mature yet, so all they're focused on is how they feel. There's no consideration for anyone else's feelings at all. This kind of cruel behavior is extremely common among children and among many people who are not emotionally mature enough to have properly functioning empathy, such as pathologically narcissistic personalities. They are focused on how they feel only. I feel mad, so I want to hurt you. I feel weak, so I want to control you. I want to subjugate you. I want to dominate you. I feel controlled, so I want to control you. I feel hurt, so I want to punish you. These are completely self-serving ways of thinking. There is no understanding at all of how these things will impact the other person and no concern or even acknowledgement that they actually will impact anybody else at all. The other person is simply a frustrating object, a target of the negative emotions and or a tool to utilize as a way to soothe those negative emotions. The impact any of this has on that person is not understood or recognized. Therefore, it's immaterial. People sometimes have difficulty understanding this. They might say something like, yeah, but if narcissists are enjoying my pain and my suffering, doesn't that prove that they understand the impact on me? No. Your pain and suffering and everything else about you is immaterial. To put it very, very simply, they are enjoying their own feelings, not yours. They are focusing on their own feelings, not yours. This is hard for people with empathy to understand, but that's absolutely all that matters to pathologically narcissistic personalities. The level of disconnect here is extreme. As an analogy to demonstrate, it's somewhat similar to when most of us sit down to a steak or a chicken dinner. We think about how good it tastes and how the spices complement it and how well the sides pair with it, how delicious it looks and it smells. We're not thinking that actually what we are eating was at one point a living, breathing animal that someone literally killed and cut up into pieces so that we could eat it. There is generally a pretty high level of disconnect there for most people. Now, some of that is because in modern culture, people are pretty much completely disconnected from their food and where it comes from. But a large part of it is because we're only focused on our own feelings and our own experiences in that situation. We're not thinking about the experiences or the feelings of whatever the animal that's on our plate. We're only thinking about what we are doing and how we are feeling. We're only thinking about eating. Now, you might think that this happens because the people who are eating the animal didn't participate in or even witness the killing of the animal, the journey of the animal that they're eating from living creature to the plate. But even when people are involved in the slaughter and processing of the animals that they're eating, some level of that disconnect still persists. This is because we're still only focused on our own feelings, experiences, and perspective in the situation. This is similar to how it appears to work with narcissists. Yes, they're causing the pain, and yes, they are aware of that, but only in an academic sense. This is not their focus. It's not their concern. They're focused only on what they are getting out of it. The rest of it is just a means to get there. When they're giving you the silent treatment, for example, they're not focused on how you're feeling. They're focused on how they feel. They feel powerful and in control. Most of their behavior seems to have that goal to a greater or lesser degree because this is very, very important to them. That's why they say things like, well, you're just mad because you lost, or you're just upset because you can't control me and you can't control everything. This is a projection in the sense that they think you feel that way because they feel that way, and so they think everybody's like them. But it's not just a projection of that. It's also a projection in the sense that they feel powerful and in control, so you must be upset because you don't. In other words, those are the only feelings that there can be here. That's all there is. The idea that you have individual and unique experiences or feelings here that are not exact mirrors of the ones that they are personally having generally does not occur to this personality. And why would it? You yourself, as a person, do not exist to a narcissistic person. Anything attributed to others by a narcissist was also created by them, like a child assigning motives and behaviors and a personality and whatever else to a baby doll. Therefore, if they feel some type of way, you also feel that way, either in agreement or opposition. If they are focused on something or they feel like that's the most important thing, you also feel that way, either in agreement or opposition. The idea that you might be focused on or concerned with or be feeling something completely different and unrelated to what they are focused on, concerned with, or feeling, that you have all of your own everything that has absolutely nothing to do with theirs, does not occur to them at all. If you try to assert this reality, they might call you a liar, might accuse you of trying to confuse them, or just simply be unable to understand what you're saying in any real way. The idea of other people as individuals with all of their own completely separate and independent feelings, needs, concerns, beliefs, wants, and everything else appears to be beyond the extremely limited comprehension of this extremely limited personality. It literally does not compute. The silent treatment is actually a perfect example of that. It is a painful, cruel thing to do. And it makes sense that narcissists would use this as a tool for punishment and control because being ignored and treated like you don't exist is about the worst thing that could ever happen to them. Again, this is a projection of their own feelings. They assume that everyone feels the same way that they do. Sometimes people feel that this might imply empathy of some kind or an understanding of the other person's feelings, but again, the reality of this impact on others is completely lost on narcissists. They know you don't like it because they don't like it, but there's no understanding of how this is impacting you, how it is actually hurting you, or conversely, how you might be glad that they're leaving you alone for a while. They know how they feel, but that does not translate into any actual understanding that others also feel the same way if you do the same thing to them. Their own feelings are the only ones that are actually real. Therefore, these are the only ones that this person can see, and consequently, they're the only ones that matter. Many narcissists even say things to this effect. They accuse other people of faking their pain, of faking their tears, of putting on an act, of exaggerating their pain for sympathy or to make the narcissist look bad or to make them feel guilty for some reason. They might even tell other people that the other people have no feelings. Therefore, it is impossible to hurt or mistreat them. They might say that they themselves feel things more deeply or have some other special quality or ability. Therefore, it's more wrong to hurt them. They do many, many things that demonstrate very clearly that not only do they not care about the emotions and experiences of other people at all, they are unable to even recognize the reality of these in any way. Which makes sense, of course, because that's why they don't care. And that makes sense too. You probably don't care about purple unicorns, for example, or the man in the moon. Why? Because what is there to care about? They're not real. This is one of the situations where people often start to suspect that someone has an empathy deficit. Even people who are mean and cruel and spiteful generally don't accuse other people of faking their pain or of pretending to have feelings when they really don't. First of all, most people just don't assume something like that anyway because they actually realize that pretty much everybody does have feelings. This kind of thing is typically only offered by people who don't know that. But beyond that, a lack of empathy often makes expression of emotions look fake to narcissists, if they even recognize it at all. There's no internal emotional connection or reaction for them to what's happening, so they just see behavior that looks phony to them. And since their only perspective is self-referential, the behavior must be targeting them somehow. Therefore, you're only pretending to cry so that you can make me do what you want. This kind of thing. Even if your feelings are recognized in an academic sense, as in, yes, I understand other people have feelings, just like I understand that they have arms and legs, they don't have any importance to a narcissist, just like your arms and legs don't. Those are your arms and legs. What do they have to do with the narcissist? Just like if someone slams your hand in the car door, they can't feel that pain physically. Therefore, the only way they can hurt along with you and consequently feel bad for having done that is emotionally and mentally. If they don't have the capability of doing that, then your pain has no impact on them at all because they can't understand the impact of it on you. Arguably, the most damaging situation regarding the silent treatment is when a parent uses it to punish a child. For an adult to treat another adult as if they don't exist can be very painful. For an important caregiver to do this to a child is devastating. This may be among the absolute cruelest things a parent or a caregiver can do to their children, and it is unfortunately not as uncommon as some people might think it is. It's not only indicative of a complete lack of empathy and a desire to punish that goes far beyond anything even remotely healthy or okay, it is indicative of an unsafe adult who cannot handle their emotions in any way, who has passed this burden on to a child who can neither understand it nor carry it. That's what the silent treatment really is in the end, the action of a person who cannot handle or address their emotions at all and is instead attempting to punish or hurt other people because of how they feel. As with so many other things we discuss here, any relationship that includes this kind of childish, passive-aggressive, intentionally punitive behavior should be reevaluated, and the maturity level of the person engaging in it should be seriously considered, as it seems clear that they're not mature enough for a relationship with another adult. The reality is that adults who attempt to punish other adults in this way are not demonstrating emotional maturity. Relationships between adults are predicated on equality and open communication. Feeling justified in punishing other adults for perceived wrongdoing in the relationship creates a dynamic in which one person is trying to exert power over the other person or the people in the relationship. This can lead to a completely toxic dynamic where each person feels justified in harmful behavior toward the other person. Whether it's actually justified or not doesn't even really matter in the end, because regardless, this creates a cycle of punishment and justification of harmful behavior that destroys any possibility for a relationship of any kind. It destroys the possibility of even coexistence eventually. This becomes a situation of resentment, scorekeeping, and retaliation. Now, sometimes people are a little bit confused about this and they'll say, well, so what do I do then to hold them accountable for their behavior? It's important to understand punishing other adults in the context of a voluntary, consensual relationship is not holding them accountable. It isn't anybody's job to teach other adults by trying to discipline them when they do something wrong. And this is not a healthy relationship dynamic in any way. It's also, for example, not setting boundaries. It's punishment. Punishment is intended to hurt other people or control them. A boundary is for you. It's not to hurt other people or do anything at all to the other person. For example, you wouldn't say, I'm going to give you the silent treatment and refuse to acknowledge your existence until you have learned your lesson because you upset me, and then I'll acknowledge your existence again. That's how I enforce my boundaries. That's not a boundary. That's a punishment, especially because most of the time people who are being given the silent treatment are not even given any explanation at all whatsoever. That's part of the punishment. Holding a boundary would be saying to the person who upset you, I really don't like what you said or what you did. I need to take a step back from this relationship, and when I'm ready to talk, then I'll reach out. Or, I really am not okay with what you said or what you did, and that's going to be a deal breaker for me. I am not interested in continuing a relationship with you. Retaliation is not the answer either, regardless of how justified somebody's feelings may be. If you're at a place where you're like, I cannot let this person get away with this, I have to make them sorry, or I'll show them they can't mess with me, then the relationship needs to end. That is how we hold people accountable in relationships. Now, of course, if someone does something that they should be arrested for or prosecuted, something like that, that's one thing. But for other stuff, nominating ourselves as the arbitrator of punishment and retaliation is not the answer. It doesn't teach anybody anything. It doesn't improve the relationship in any way. It's an ego story that just degrades our self-respect in the end. Leave that for the folks who don't have any other capability. People sometimes get upset when they hear stuff like that. They feel that they're entirely justified and their actions are justified and it's different for them. And that's fine if that's how you feel, but just remember, if you're dealing with a narcissist, then even if it's delusional, the person that you're dealing with feels exactly the same way. So if those are the dynamics, that's the relationship you're going to have. It is what it is. The truth is, if you're in a relationship with someone who's trying to punish you, you're in a relationship with someone who's trying to control you. You're in a relationship with someone who is trying to exert power over you, trying to dominate you. You're not being treated as an equal. This is not healthy. The best thing to do, instead of getting caught up in all these dynamics, is just exit the relationship as soon as you possibly can. If you're dealing with the silent treatment, remember what this really is. It isn't a reflection of you or your worth. It is the behavior of a person who cannot handle their own emotions and is attempting to make them your problem. But you don't have to take them. You can choose to look at this person's inability as what it really is, a reflection of them. It's hurtful, it's cruel, it's painful, but it doesn't happen because you deserve this kind of treatment. It happens because this is the kind of person that this person is. This is extremely important. Let go of the idea that other people's behavior is being caused by you or is a reflection of you. It's not. People's behavior is a reflection of them only. The sooner we can understand this fundamental truth, the sooner we can defeat gaslighting and stop internalizing things about ourselves that are not true. The sooner we can stop blaming ourselves and trying to control everything when the reality is we can't control it. That is how we fight back and protect ourselves in these situations. I hope this clears a few things up for you. As always, I look forward to your comments, questions, and suggestions, so please keep those coming. I take appointments online, over the phone, via text, via messenger, via email, through Zoom, and through Skype for clients worldwide. So if you're interested in speaking with me one-on-one, you can visit littleshaman.org to do that. I teach workshops, classes, seminars, and clinics. So if you're interested in seeing what we're offering this month, you can visit littleshaman.org to do that. I have several books out for publication, So if you are interested in picking up a copy, you can visit littleshaman.org to do that. And if you are interested in joining our support group with access to exclusive content, weekly support meetings, and more, you can visit littleshaman.org to do that as well. You have been listening to the Meditations and More podcast here on the littleshaman.com, brought to you by Transrelational Healing, shamanspiritcenter.com, and littleshaman.org. That's me, Little Shaman. May the Great Spirit bless you. Have a beautiful day.
If you've been struggling through dealing with or recovering from an unhealthy relationship with a narcissist or other toxic personality, the Little Shaman has a catalog of over 500 YouTube videos designed to support your journey from discovery to recovery. You can also find additional resources on the Little Shaman website, including tools, courses, workshops, a support group with weekly meetings, and one-on-one appointments with the Little Shaman that are open to clients worldwide. There's even an AI chatbot built and trained exclusively by the Little Shaman using her work that can answer questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For more information, visit littleshaman.org. You can listen to The Little Shaman wherever you find your favorite podcasts.